Connie, it's so nice to see you again. I love it that you're always in your sauna, and I would be in mine now as well, except that the Wi-Fi is not good by my sauna. So, and it doesn't look as pretty as yours. I need to get a new one. Mine's too small now. I need a nice big one. I love my sauna, and I love talking to you about this infrared sauna, and we're going to take people through a journey of understanding why this is so helpful as another tool for mental health. So there's never any one thing that'll help us manage our mental health, but as long as we've got as many tools in our toolbox as possible, I think that's so important, Connie. And so this is really a hugely great way of helping people to manage mental health. So welcome. And I've already given away who you are, but please jump in and tell my viewers and my listeners a bit more about you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love our time together. And so it's just so great to see you and hear your just amazing wisdom, especially, when it comes to, mental health. So I'm excited to be here. I'm Connie Zak, and we being myself and my husband, started Sunlighten over 20 years ago with the mission to really make a difference and help people feel better and live healthier lives without medications and without invasive therapies, and really committed our lives to, bringing infrared saunas to the forefront. And one of our passions is science. And one of our kind of critical foundational values in starting this company was we wanted to make sure that everything we did was backed by science. And it's amazing because even it's been over 20 years and I'm still learning, it's so interesting, right? It is, it's ongoing. And so our purpose is that we want to bring light, hope, and happiness to people all over the world. And we want people to be able to feel better so they can do more of what they love with people that they love to do it with. And we know that, spending time in your Sunlighten sauna does make you feel better, and you do want to do more of whatever you enjoy doing. And so it's a perfect match. And if I can, leave a legacy that accomplishes that, I'm a really happy girl.
Well, I tell you, I'm part of your legacy, if you want to put it that way, because I've had my infrared sauna. I think I got mine, I'm thinking it's about 12 years ago, Connie.
Yeah.
And it's still going strong. It's still downstairs below my studio. And it's something that I always loved saunas. But once I got my infrared sauna, it's really hard getting in any other sauna because it just doesn't have the same benefits. And we'll talk about, what the benefits are in a moment. And in a moment, we'll dive into that. But for me, it's an essential part of my daily routine. And if I'm traveling and I can't get to, if a hotel only has a normal sauna, well, I'll go to that. But more and more hotels and spas and those kind of places have got the infrared sauna. And there's such a huge difference, which I'm going to let you explain. But for me personally, this is an essential part of my routine, especially if I find that I've had a really busy day, or I've just got off a plane, or I just need to wind down. I can't wait. It's like a treat for me to go into my sauna at the end of the day, sit there with Grey's Anatomy or whatever movie I'm watching, or a book or something like that. And because you can do all of that in the infrared sauna and totally relax and chill. And besides winding down, it just makes me feel so amazing. I have to be careful. If I do it just before bed, it kind of energizes me and it will wake me up. I know some people it helps them to sleep more, but for me, it's something that if I'm really tired and I've got to do a whole day of work or something like that, I'll pop into my infrared sauna and it really gives me a boost for the day. Sometimes I can't only get in for 10 minutes. Sometimes I sit there for a whole hour, depending. So I've just give you that I get so excited every time I talk to you. I love my infrared sauna. It's a really great tool in the toolbox of mental health. So it's, as I said, not one thing, but it's one of the most amazing tools that one can use. So okay, so Connie, tell us, why do I love it so much? You can tell us why I love it so much.
Well, I love it too. And it's really interesting that you talked about your routine and how you can't do it at night, because which we can talk about later as far as sleep, and all the research has been done on sleep. But I am the same way. So my routine is to do morning, like my thought process and how I use it is to re-energize myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm understanding more and more science. I'm understanding kind of why that works. But so I can't, if I'm doing it at night, then I'm ready to go. I'm not going to go to sleep because I'm just ready to go take on, another project.
Exactly.
So as far as why it's so great, and why infrared is, a different type of heat than traditional heat. It's really the way it's absorbed by the body. So traditional heat stays in the air. And so you're getting hot because the air is hot, which provides benefit. Any heating the body is great. The way that Sunlighten uses infrared, and we really need to talk about the three different levels of three different parts of the spectrum, which we can talk about in a minute. But there are three different spectrums of this amazing wavelength called infrared. Infrared, specifically far infrared, I'll just differentiate for a second, is absorbed by the cells in your body, and then the water starts to move everything around. And so when you're sweating, it's a different type of a sweat than you're sweating if you're in a traditional. So you end up, one of the reasons I think that I get so energized is it's almost like a purge, right? It's just like you're releasing so much, and you're changing your endorphins, and you're increasing your blood flow. So it really mimics exercise, because people who can exercise, a lot of people can't, but they notice how a huge difference in how they feel, right? And you can talk about scientifically why that's true, as far as exercise and how that affects your brain, but doing a sauna is that same type. It's an exercise mimetic, period. So that's why for me, I have to do it in the morning, and then I'm ready to go take on the day. And it's really great for me if I can stack it. I call it sweat stack. If I can sweat stack in the morning, man, it's going to be an amazing day. So I can go for a run or do some yoga or, do a vigorous walk and then sauna, and, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I love to do it like that as well. It's really great, as you say, after some kind of a rigorous workout or yoga or something, to go and have the sweat stacking. I like that. That's the first time I've heard you use that term. I like that. And it makes you feel amazing. And you talk about the sort of purging effect. It has, I don't know, you can explain way better than me in terms of because you know it so well. But essentially the way that it dives deep into your cells, it goes deeper than the external heat. It's like 7 times deeper. It's getting right down to the level of your cells. So it's boosting your immune system, your cardiovascular system. It's getting all those toxins out. So it's really going to where the toxins sit around the organs of your body in the fat, if it accumulates. Whereas an external heating up of your environment doesn't do that. It doesn't penetrate through to the level of the cells, the fat that keeps the toxins around the organs, and then into the cells itself, facilitating the cellular processes, even down to the level of the DNA. I know there's research being done in that area as well, but anything epigenetic is going to impact our cellular function. But the infrared really is a very directed process. And I think that's also what makes you feel so good, because it's really getting those toxins out and really boosting the immune system and really boosting your cardiovascular system, and so good for your heart and all that kind of thing. So that's why you feel so energized. So if I do it in the evening late, it is going to keep me up. So I make sure that I do it at the end of a day. So it's wind down and re-energize to get your mind calm and your brain rested so that you can go into a really good night's sleep. So that's just kind of how I found it for myself.
Yeah. And that's exactly the way the sleep experts, I've interviewed a lot of sleep experts and people that use our Sunlighten sauna with, and in a way to help them sleep more effectively. And they all say this exact same thing. They say, if you do it at night, you can do it at night, but if you do it, make sure you have plenty of time built in before you go to sleep, because you need to cool down, B, you need to be able to have a ritual that tells your body, okay, I've done this. Now I'm going to have some tea, or I'm going to have a hot bath or whatever, but something in addition to that. You don't want to use your Sunlighten and then expect to fall right off to sleep. Yeah.
Definitely not. So you talk about understanding the difference between heat and light. So let's talk about that, the difference between heat and light and what's unique about infrared.
Yeah. So first of all, one of the things that's unique is that we just talked about how it's absorbed by the cells and how it works with the cells. What I think is so wonderful is when you use infrared energy into your body, because the air isn't oppressively hot, right? It's a more enjoyable experience, and you can stay in there longer. And it's really important when you're doing just like exercise or when you're doing anything, meditating and anything that's good for you, it's important to, have habits where you stay with it and you do it, as long as you can repeatedly. And that's one of the great things about infrared, doesn't even matter whether it's far, mid, or near, you can be in there. A lot of times people say, man, I don't like saunas because I can't breathe and then I can't stay in there and then I have to get out. And that's one of the big, huge differences is, that feeling of the air being so hot that you can't breathe and you can't stay in there and you really want to be in there. We recommend in a Sunlighten sauna to be in there 40 minutes. A lot of people don't have that 40 minutes in a day. So as you said earlier, if you can only be in there 10, 15 minutes, that's okay. Some time is better than zero time, and you're still going to get the wavelength. It's still going to go being absorbed into your body. It's going to start engaging, the water molecules and everything in your body and helping to start that purging and kind of just moving everything around process, reducing inflammation, increasing the blood flow. I mean, just the cardiac benefit alone, that is amazing. We did a study in 2005, which is hard to believe is that long ago, 17 years ago. Wow. That was a double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized study comparing a Sunlighten portable unit to a placebo. It looked exactly the same. And in that study, the results were a significant reduction in blood pressure and increased circulation, increased blood flow, and increased quality of life scores. Versus the exact same traditional sauna. I mean, still had some level of infrared, but it wasn't Sunlighten's technology. Major difference. So you have to, first of all, infrared, that's our wheelhouse, and then do your research on the quality of infrared. Sunlighten's committed to making sure that if you get a Sunlighten sauna, it's the highest quality, the most effective, highest quantity of infrared. And then we're also one of the only companies that you can get just far infrared, or you can get, near and far, you can get all three. We want to be able to provide access, to as many people as possible with as many choices as possible with as many prices, so that it's not about, making it, unaffordable.
And that's really good. And just explain, Connie, about the near far and the different types of infrared and what they do, because they each achieve a different function. And some of your saunas have all of them. Some have just the selected, as you've mentioned, just different price breaks and things as well. But explain about the infrared.
I know we don't have a ton of time, but quickly give a backstory because it's really important so in 2008, we were working with Dr. Whelan and Dr. Hamlin, which I'll talk about in a second, some very, very large thought leaders and experts in the infrared world. And they let us know that there were significant benefits of not only far infrared, which is what we were committed to until 2008, but they also said, if you explore mid-infrared and near-infrared and give a precise targeted wavelength based on science that had already been done, like there was already scientific studies showing how effective near-infrared was, for example, on wound healing and pain relief and the skin and some other benefits, anti-aging benefits. And then mid-infrared, where there was already some on burning calories and muscle recovery. So what we did is we researched everything that was out there and then delivered those wavelengths. And how the different spectrums work is far is really great at working with the water molecules, as I just discussed, being absorbed into the body, helping the body to, increase your circulation, increase blood flow, help with cardiac, with giving a healthy heart. Mid is really good with inflammation in the tissues. It's a hotter wavelength, so it's going to feel different because it's hotter. And then near is, I just love this wavelength. Every day I'm like learning more information about it. There's so many benefits. So it is too hot to deliver via heat. So it's too hot. So you have to convert it to LEDs. And so the LED, so there's no heat, and you're getting this heatless energy, and it goes to the skin and it goes deep into the skin. And the depth of penetration of the skin, it's kind of like photosynthesis for plants, is how I always explain near infrared. It's needed, and it regenerates, and it helps with inflammation, it helps with cell turnover. And now we're learning some new information about near infrared and the brain, and which we can talk about, which is it's fascinating. I like to think of near infrared as like this kind of restart, this like kicker that like helps like restart things and can get things in the body re-engaged. So that's a quick synopsis. So then in 2009 we came out with, or 2010, sorry, we came out with Impulse, which was the first product on the market that had delivered far infrared, mid infrared, and near infrared separately, completely separately, so that you could, turn them on and off. You could, do what you wanted to do based on what the results you were trying to achieve.
That's the one I have, and I love it because sometimes you just want to, but then you just want to like maybe have a good sweat, or you feel like your blood pressure's, just feel like maybe you're a bit stressed out, whatever. So you can select, which is really nice with and you can swap between programs. I do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And sometimes if my skin, maybe if I've been traveling and, you get that lot of traveling, your skin doesn't feel as, as healthy. That's the near infrared's great for skin.
Yes.
And just I look at the quality also of my skin from years of doing the infrared. And I eat healthy, I do exercise. I mean, when I say eat healthy, I eat organic, farm to table. But it adds another layer. It's like my skin hasn't aged the same way that it would. I'm nearly 58, and my skin does not look like a 58-year-old. And I definitely attribute a lot of that, obviously, to my skincare routine, whatever. But the infrared sauna has made such a difference. It just doesn't look like old skin. And, that's what's fascinated me. So I've seen that direct benefit from the near infrared, which is fascinating.
Yes. Yeah. One of our sayings here at Sunlighten is purify the body and the skin will follow.
I love that. I love that.
And it's so true. If you have your body clean and purified, and the skin is going to follow, and then you add on, and that was our saying with far infrared when we started the company. Then you add on the near infrared, like on a direct way. Like I will literally, like if I'm going out and I want my skin to look just extra, extra good, I will sit in my sauna and I'll put my face right up next to the LEDs, and I'll just sit there like Indian style, yoga style, and and it just feel like, you can feel the absorption.
If there's any inflammation, like sometimes when you have a bad night's sleep, or not even that, you're just busy, or you've been flying like I do, your eyes can get slightly puffy. 5 to 10 minutes in that sauna, and it just takes that inflammation away. That has been fascinating for me, how that can happen. It's quick. That effect is very quick.
It is quick. The inflammation is quick too for people because near infrared is really, really great for reducing inflammation. And I know personally, I was training for a marathon like 5 years ago, and my feet and my knees, after a long training run, it just really hurt. Especially my feet. And I would put my foot again, like the same place I would put my face, right onto the LEDs. And it was 10 minutes, like exactly what you said. And I could go, mine's downstairs as well. And it was always a challenge getting down the stairs after a long run. I would be like, oh, but then like going back up, I would just be like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So
that muscle recovery and joint recovery after it's crazy how quick it works.
Yeah.
And then also healing just from like if you've got any kind of maybe surgery or damage, like you've cut yourself or something, it's just crazy how quickly it actually starts healing up. It stimulates the whole healing process. That's been fascinating to watch that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's fascinating is the perfect word.
So you've been also pulling together. I'm just having a look at your some notes you sent me. New information on the mental health benefits, and we know that the mind is separate from the brain, but the mind drives the brain. But the mind's got to work through the brain and through the body. So if the brain and body aren't looked after, it does make the mind's work a lot more difficult. And this is how I always explain like the infrared to when people ask me about it, is that it's one of those extra tools in the toolbox that I keep mentioning that can help my mind, my brain and body be healthier so that my mind is working through it more efficiently. Kind of like clearing out all the logs in the road if there's been a rainstorm, or you just drove through a rainstorm to get to the interview and you had to use your windscreen wipers to be able to drive through the rainstorm. I kind of see the infrared almost like that when it comes to looking after the brain and the body. It kind of clears a little bit of the fog and cleans things up. for want of a better way. And it really helps then to facilitate the ability to think more clearly, to kind of stand back and observe yourself. So that you still have to do the work. It's not that this depression or anxiety, which are warning signals, are going to magically disappear. But there seems to be a level of peace, neurophysiological peace, that feeds back into the mind, that helps then with being able to then work through whatever it is that you're working through. And that's how I would explain the mental health effects. But Connie, how do you explain them? What are your ways of explaining?
Yeah, well, I'm learning a lot from Dr. Michael Hamblin, who I mentioned earlier. So he is a new member to our scientific advisory board, and he has been, pardon the pun, shedding a lot of light on this subject. And mental health is so important to Sunlight, and to doing whatever we can do to help people be healthier, mentally. So Dr. Hamblin has introduced me to, there's so many articles about how, and right now we'll talk specifically on near infrared, how near infrared and red light can help the brain in conditions such as Alzheimer's, autism, dementia. And this is, when you read these articles, there's deep science showing, neuroimaging, before, when they come in, when the patients come in, and then they'll wear these near infrared helmets that have near infrared LEDs in them, similar to our sauna, and they'll put them on their heads. And then afterwards, noticing a big difference in the brain function. And it's just fascinating that it looks like, there's atrophy, right? Like the brain's just not, it's kind of similar to our bodies, right? With like the muscles. And then all of a sudden, when that near infrared is placed, then, the dementia is, improved, and Alzheimer's, and there's some science on stroke. And, this is some serious scientific data, which is, super exciting, and more studies, need to be done. But the early findings, suggest really some positive impact with those specific conditions. And then on depression,
could I comment quickly there, Connie, just in terms of,
please.
I think where there's big benefit in terms of any kind of neurological issue in autism, we don't know what autism really is at this stage. So, but anything that is going to help to give clarity and sort of clean up the physical brain and body is going to help the mind as well. But I think with things like the Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementias, the cellular regeneration, I think, is huge there. It's going into the actual brain cells, and what it does in the actual cytoskeleton, and what it's doing in that level. I think so much that we, as you said, we don't know, but there's definitely something that he does, and this specific type, the infrared specifically, that is changing how the cells are actually functioning. And as you say, it's very new research, needs a lot of replication, but it's certainly an area that needs to be investigated and taken further, because it's fascinating.
Right. And what I find very interesting is this, a lot of times when you read these articles, you can't replicate this at home, right? It's, but what's really exciting is anybody, we have access to our near infrared LEDs, and you can sit inside the sauna and have, and put your head, right up next to the LEDs, and, test it for yourself, and just, and see, how you feel. So that's what the access to the technology is what makes me really excited, because it's, it's something that is, and it's available.
It's not like you have to go to a very fancy, expensive medical clinic.
Right.
These are affordable. It is an expense. It is a big ticket item, but it is, in the long run, if you look at the benefits, and it's affordable. It's not like there's something that's completely out of. These are not just commercial or medical products. You've actually created. I have one at home. I have a sauna at home. So this is amazing. You can go, save up, get one, and have it in your home, and you've got this device that is actually doing stuff that you don't have to go to a medical clinic or pay exorbitant amounts for every session. You can actually use it as much as you want, which is, for me, that's fantastic. So the access is really great, because for a long time the access wasn't really there. Now it's so many people do have saunas now and are getting this benefit.
Yes, yes. And then can I mention the study on depression? We have
Yes,
time?
of course. Sorry.
Oh.
Yes, of course. Let's talk about
because
that.
this is really exciting. So Dr. Raison did a study like a long time ago. I don't even remember, and that he replicated it 2006.
82?
Yeah,
82.
a long time ago on whole body hypothermia. Essentially, I'll summarize, won't go through all of everything, but he found that when you find a way to increase the body's core temperature, it will decrease the depression symptoms. And the theory is that the people who have serious depression also have a dysfunction with their thermoregulation in their body. So they are unable to cool themselves down, especially at night. And so when he heated them up, something changed, and then they were able to cool themselves down. So it's almost like there's like that, I had this vision of this like switch, right? Where that it's off, all the time. And then you increase your body's core temperature, you sit inside, a sauna, and it switches to on. And then your body starts to work the way it's supposed to work, right? And then it cools yourself down, and then you notice the difference in your symptoms. And the study that he did it's really remarkable. So it was a 6-week study. No, it wasn't a 6-week study. Sorry. It was 6 weeks where they had a reduced number of depression symptoms. So they used whole body hypothermia once, came out, they had fast results, and it lasted for 6 weeks. So now Dr. Ashley Mason, who is one of his students, is now trying to mimic that, because that study was done with very, very expensive equipment. I mean, $50,000. Like it's not applicable. You can't do that. So she's doing a study with a product that's very similar to Sunlight and Solo, which is a lie down portable unit. The one that was done in 2005, the study that was done where you lie down, your head is out, so people can stay in there for a while, increase your core temperature, and then she's going to evaluate those results.
Try and replicate the results there. Yeah, so Connie, I also read through the study before we started the interview. So basically what I'm seeing happening over here is that we can't make any assumptions about depression or anything, but what people are seeing is that thermoregulation thing. There is a lot of research showing that when people are in a high stress state, when they're experiencing a lot of adverse circumstances, it's your mind that experiences that, and there's an impact in your brain and your body, because your mind puts the experience into the brain and the body. The mind uses the brain and the body. So if you're going through a lot of adverse circumstances, you're going to have an adverse response, which is totally normal. But your brain and body just follow the leading of the mind. So if we're going through this kind of chaos in our experiences, not through any fault of our own, but from adverse circumstances of life, those emotional responses of depression, etc., are emotional warning signals that they're going through the brain and the body. And there's a whole electrochemical quantum response in the body. And there is research showing how that can affect thermoregulation, that people do have night sweats and just suddenly out of the blue, and it seems like there's all these hormonal problems, so the endocrine system gets affected and that kind of thing. So it's interesting that the study is pointing towards, and it obviously needs replication, which is what you're talking about, but there's a potential that the heating up of the body can facilitate rebalancing the thermoregulation status of so it's a very exciting area of study that they're looking into, that definitely needs more trials and replication, but there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it is like, that's how I think of it in my brain is, and I feel that way personally when I sauna. I feel reset, right? Like I feel like, I always talk about how my brain feels like, a computer and it's full, and like my mailbox, my brain it is full. And then when I get out of my Sunlight and Sauna, I'm just like, I feel lighter, and I feel like I have just somehow like deleted the trash, and so it's interesting that scientifically, that it's almost like the far infrared is resetting the body which is very interesting, which is allowing the body to, start over, go, okay, now, I'm going to cool myself down and I'm going to start over. And so it's, interesting times, and it's exciting for people, because like I said, it's really important to us as Sunlighten that we do whatever it takes to help people live their best life. And that best life is, a healthy mental state, right?
And it's certainly, exactly, and you certainly are doing that. And it's wonderful that we do have these tools that we can access now to help us. I mean, it really is, as I said, I'm a big fan. I love my infrared. I miss it so much when I don't have my daily infrareds. I'm always looking for one as I said, in a hotel or somewhere. Just the last point there about the depression, you were mentioning that it's the infrared that seems to be doing this. I'm sure as they do studies in the future, I'm sure that there's the whole spectrum has some impact on the neurophysiology, because the psychoneurobiology is so complicated. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very interesting down the line to see all the different interactions and how each one is contributing to each part of the spectrum is contributing to different elements of our neurobiology and our neurophysiology. It's fascinating area. Connie, it's always so much fun talking to you, and I get so excited every time we talk about the infrared sauna, because it really is something that is just, you feel the effects so quickly and so easily. So thank you for doing all the research to make this and making this accessible to people, that they can actually get this. It's not a medical device that you have to go to a medical clinic. You can have one of these in your own home. So how do people find out more about you, and how do they get their hands on a Sunlighten sauna?
Yeah, so contact us at sunlighten.com, or you can call, directly. Our toll free is 877-292-0020. And we have experts and specialists who will talk to you and walk you through the different options and different choices. Make sure we pick what's best for you, and it would be great if you could mention Dr. Leaf, because we always have a special gift for people, who found us through Dr. Leaf. So remember to do that as well, and we'll take care of you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time and your enthusiasm. And I look forward to our next conversation.
I look forward to it too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.